Hello everyone, and I today I saw the film VHS 3 or VHS Viral, as it's mainly called, and basically the whole wraparound story, like where it's all connected mainly towards it, basically goes like this. It's like it starts off like a kid, like probably like a little bit younger than me, like 17, 18 years old, and he's with his girlfriend. He's like really obsessed with cameras, and he runs around chasing an ice cream truck that's on a pursuit from like a police car is being chased by like a bunch of these helicopters and police cars and all that type of stuff. And it's like basically how it starts. And as a start off story, is pretty weird, and I'd say out of the it feels very very out of touch from the other two first from what the other first two films were, and how those first two films were connected within the first main like wraparound story were in the same environment. And this film is just completely different, and I thought that change for me was really lacking, and well, not lacking, but it really stood out, and I thought like that was a risk being unnecessarily made. I'm like, why did you need to do that? You could have easily made it connect brilliantly well towards the other two, in my opinion, but they did. So too too late for them to change it now. And basically, in this like in the in the first two VHS films, there's like four or more shorts. Like I think the first one has like four or five, either one of those two. And the second one has, I'm sure the second one has at least five shorts. But and those seem so well contained. But in this film, there's only three, and I thought that was a huge change. At least I will say these ones were a bit longer. That's why there's probably much less. Like I think like, and when you look back at the first two VHS films, because I just saw them recently, just for me to get more involved within the third one, is that the shorts in those were released from at least up until like 15, 17 minutes at most. And these ones they ran up to at least 20 minutes each, I believe. And basically I written down all this other stuff I'm gonna read to you, which is basically all my notes I've written down. And the first short in the film is called Dante the Great, and it's basically about like a musician, a really crappy type of magician, and he finds his magical cloak, and basically he grants him special powers, and it gets a lot more out of hand and out of control, and eventually he gets arrested. And that's all I'm going to tell you right now because I don't want to end up in spoiler territory, and I don't like to say too much spoilers here on my channel. And by the way, it's a horror film genre, so spoilers are obviously out the window because we all know the classic horror film cliches by now. And what I personally, here's what I like and don't like about this very short. I think the story for itself seems a bit promising. It sounds intriguing and interesting, and I would say there's actually good acting, especially by the so-called Dante the Great. The guy they got for him is very, very good. I personally really enjoyed his performance. It's very, very deliciously. He's like very much like a con man type of feel to him. He's like, you can trust me, you know. I really like that. I thought his performance in the film was fairly good, and in my opinion, I felt like it had a good beginning, but it's like one third of it was like the beginning of it was really really good for what it was. And then it's like the second and third part of it were much more the question. It started to really lose it and wasn't that great from that point on. And there's some moments where, well, the whole feeling for that was much more like a documentary feel for it. Like, there's much more of a steady cam at times than a single held shots, even though there was a few at times. And overall, I thought this one it wasn't. It like I thought this one was probably decent. Like this is probably the weakest of them, but that's why I thought the first short. And the second short is basically about this alternate. It's about this alternate dimension, and basically, a man visits his alternate self within this type of technology he invented, and he like goes off and bounces off his alternate own character of himself, and eventually he bounces out of control and goes a lot more insane. It goes a lot more into insanity and craziness. Sorry. Pesky parents. The story for this one for me, I thought was a bit more out of the blue for the story. I thought it was a bit more weirder. Like it stayed a bit more focused on the unique type of authenticity of the VHS feel for itself, but it felt a lot more sci-fi for what it was, and then a bit less of horror of what it was. And I thought the story for this one was very interesting. I like the whole alternate world and the alternate you and how you would react. How would you, it brings up the question, how would you react with an alternate version of yourself? I thought it was really interesting about what it was. And the acting in this one, especially from the main guy and the person who, well, I think it was honestly a double who looked like him. The way they interacted at times, it seemed very good because it was basically the same character and bouncing off the person who's basically you in a sense is going to be very tricky to do, honestly. And I think it worked for what they had at the time, for the short. And I thought it was really, really good. And I thought the first half of this was really, really good, but it really spun out of control into the end. My main problem for this one is that it seemed much more futuristic feel for itself, and it seemed a lot more focused on the funnier aspects of it, which I did enjoy. I did laugh, admittedly, but there were some moments where I was like, the humor didn't work, and it felt a lot less like a found footage horror film, a lot more like a comedic little, oh, we found my little short, I'm gonna film with this. It felt a bit more like that, but I did like how they did have some dramatic things, but those didn't always work. So it was like a bit more of a turn. So this one has a bit more of a good and a bit more of a clash than good and bad. So I'd say this one was, I would admittedly say the second short, in my opinion, was probably good. It was good for what it was. I like the direction it was going in. I like the story and the performances were really, really good. And some of the scares at times were good, but it didn't take itself that seriously, and it felt out of like left contact. It very much felt like it felt a lot less like a horror film for what it was. And in my opinion, I thought that short in particular was just good. It wasn't great. It wasn't crap. It was good. It's right in the middle for me. And the third and final is definitely the best, and I would definitely say it's up there with Safe Haven from VHS 2, and the whole apartment girl thing from the first one. Like this is definitely, I would say, top 5 or top 3 best shorts of them all, definitely. Because and this one is basically about these two like teenage skater kids going to Tijuana, and basically they skating in this wash bank, like dried out area, which I've seen a lot about those in like video games I played in my past. And then basically it all goes really, really wrong. It all goes batshit crazy, and a lot of these crazy like to be blunt about it, they're basically Satanists. And they basically just turn around, and it feels like very much like a Day of the Dead feel, zombie Mexico type of feel to itself, and I really, really like that. And for itself, and this one I thought was very good. It's definitely the strongest of the 3 shorts. It felt much more like the first 2 movies. It felt much more grounded. I love the use of that type of camera used on the helmets, I thought that was utilized brilliantly. The villains were just utterly awesome. I loved every time I showed them. They're just like on the face and so rapid. It's like something from Mad Max, to be honest. And it was so. It's like I just had a smile on my face whenever those were on, even though I was freaking terrified immediately. And it had some great violence. And amazingly good, and it had some really good scary moments, and it had like a ton of great action. I thought the camera work and the direction for it was brilliantly good, and for me, it felt like a lot more like a best of both worlds. Like it had a lot of skating and steampunk feel or moments of it, and it felt like it had day-to-day feel for it, and then a whole ending for it. I thought it was really good. It's definitely the best short of all these three. Like I said before, it's probably like top 5 best shorts of all 3 of the films for me. And basically, the ending for itself, when it all wrapped up with the main story, like the kid going after the ice cream truck that's being chased or pursued by the police. The way that ended was really dumb, really terrible. And it seemed my main problem with the main overall story is that it felt very much different. It didn't feel like a VHS film, which in its own sense should be its biggest crime, but it kind of had those moments where it would go to, like I said, there's some moments where it would just go totally insane, and I didn't. Well, felt very much unlike a VHS film, but it still had enough to pull itself back into what it was. I'm just like, I had fun. Okay, that's pretty good. And that's probably his biggest crime, probably in my opinion. But I would say that in the like I said before, the whole wraparound story isn't that great. So I would say the overall wraparound story isn't that great. The first short isn't that. The first short was okay. The second one was good for what it was, and the third one was excellent. So overall, there's some moments where I would say this attempt for me had like of the scares in total. Like if I had to say out of out of 10. A rating of the scares of out of 10, I would say I would give the scares a 7.5. There's some moments where it would not be scary at all, but then there's certain moments where it's like, wow, I personally thought that was pretty good, and there's some moments where I really felt the technique and effort and real passion through the film was pretty well shown. And for me, what this real overall boils down towards is, would I buy this film on DVD? And I'm just saying this: if this came out in the future with like a VHS trilogy or more, I don't know if we're good, box set. If it came out in a box set, I would buy all of them. Like I would buy it if it came out in a box set, like 1, 2, and 3. I would buy it. I would buy them all. But individually, I would have to think about it very cautiously. Like I wouldn't go out and grab it. Like as soon as this comes out on DVD, I would think about it for a while. I was like, do I really want this? Because I really want to buy the first 2 on DVD. Like I love the first 2. I thought they were absolutely first 2 in my opinion were excellent. If you saw my top 5 favorite horror movies of the 21st century video, you know my number 5 was VHS 1 and 2. And that definitely for me does speak of how much I loved the first 2 films. I thought they were absolutely great. And in the end, I would give, in my opinion, here's the thing I would say about this film, is that a lot of people they're saying it's a bit disappointing. And on some level, I can say it was a little disappointing. But for what it was, and to be honest, in the genre that's... I was going to burp for a moment. That is mostly dying these days. But like I was saying in my top 10 favorite horror movies of the 21st century, there's some good ones. I would say this is a decent time. And I would say if you love the first 2 VHS films like me, then I would recommend this film. But if you are very critical of horror films, I would not recommend the film. So overall, I would personally say VHS 3 or VHS Barrel gets a 60. I would give it a 69. Perverted mind. I'm sorry. Perverted mind. I'm in the gutter right now. I would give it a 70%. I know a lot of people are like, fuck, what the fuck? You give this film a 70%. I would say for what it is of itself, it does accomplish some good things. And in the end, I will say this film is a 70. I will give it a 70%. I will say this overall, what about on DVD? Yes, but I would give it some time to think about that. I would still give it some time to think about it, even though I would buy this film on DVD. So in the end, thank you for watching my review of VHS 3. I really hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my review of VHS 3, or not VHS. And I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you can stick around for much more in the future. And thank you for watching. Hope you see you in the next video. And like always, stay strong. And thank you for watching, everyone. Till next time, stay strong.